And I am very excited to be talking to all of you about how to make your Facebook Lives look more professional. So on this video, we're going to cover 5 main areas. We're going to talk about audio, video, lighting, elements, and background. Now, there are many different setups and combinations that you might want to use or that might work best for your live stream show. If you're running a cooking show, the gearing setup you might want might be completely different than if you're running an automotive show. In this video, I want to kind of give you some basic advice, kind of overall advice that's going to work for you no matter what your budget is, whether you're just getting started with live streaming or you're ready to upgrade to TV quality streams. Now let's talk about audio. This is the first thing I want to discuss because honestly, it's one of the most important. I think it's right up there with the internet connection that you have in terms of importance. So you want to be sure that you're presenting the best quality audio that you possibly can. And really where that starts is with the space you're in. You want to try and find the right space so that the sound is as good as possible. And really that affects things a lot more even than your microphone possibly could. A good quality mic is going to be better in worse environments, but if you have a really great environment, even if you're just using your phone or even your internal microphone on your laptop, it's going to sound much better. Now, the best room in the house is going to be your closet. But I'm generally not going to suggest that you live stream from your closet. People don't need to see what your wardrobe looks like. But what you're going to want to do, and the reason that the closet is the best room is because it's generally a smaller space and it's filled with lots of soft, sound-absorbing material. So you're going to want to think about in what room was going to work best for me. If you're in a big, open, cavernous room with lots of hard surfaces, like hardwood floors, windows all around, the sound is going to bounce a lot. You need to have some sort of fabric material to absorb those sounds. So on the low end, it could be simply grabbing some blankets. And if you have hardwood floors on where you're at, throwing those blankets down or hanging them from the wall. In this room here in my studio, I actually have moving blankets hung up throughout the room. I have some blackout curtains that are a little thicker, a little heavier to help absorb that sound. And of course, we have carpet in this room as well, which helps a lot. But even if you're able to put down a rug, if you're able to put blankets around you, or even if you just have to, when I work with clients a lot, one thing I'll do is go ahead and take some moving blankets and we'll create a little trapezoid almost, so it just kind of blocks out everything in front of them so that the background is still nice, still clean, but when they're talking, it is going into those moving blankets to help dampen that sound. It's a great way to help create that little studio, that little soundproof corner of your room. The second thing to really think about when it comes to audio is to have the mic as close to you as possible. Right now, my mic, sorry for this, is right there, just barely off screen. The reason I have that there is because it's a shotgun mic and it's pointed directly kind of right here at my chest, and it's going to produce a great quality sound versus if it was back on top of that camera. A lot of times you'll see people with YouTubers who will have some sort of shotgun mic like this, but it'll often be back attached to the camera. That's just adding in a lot of extra noise and extra environmental noise and reducing the quality of that sound. So move the mic as close to you as possible. Get a boom arm of some sort. Get that mic as close to you and decide if you want it on frame or off frame. That's up to you, but try to have the mic as close to your mouth as possible. Now let's talk mic recommendations. If you're just getting started, the first mic I would consider is something like the Rode Video Micro. This is a shotgun mic. It's similar to this. This is actually a kind of a step up of that. This is the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. The Micro is even smaller and not powered, but it still will produce a really great quality sound, especially if you're able to bring it a little closer. It'll come with a cable similar to this. I think this is from the Micro. And you attach the one end there, and the other end can go to your camera or to your computer, or with an adapter, it can go into your phone. But what I would recommend is, especially if you're going to have your camera a little further away like we are here, is to get an extra long cable. Get a cable that's going to allow you to bring that mic closer so it can be just out of frame, not seen, but it will still be pointing directly at your chest and as close to you as possible again. And then you can use something, either a tripod. These will all fit. Many of these mics will fit on a tripod or a boom arm of some sort. Find an adapter. I'll be sure to include some links in the description for these products as well. And then that's going to allow you to bring that shotgun mic a little bit closer. Now, there are many good USB microphones out there that will plug directly into your computer and allow you to live stream directly from your computer that way. That's a great option. There's many of them out there. But what I like to recommend for people is to actually jump up and get an audio interface, something like this Behringer here or the Scarlett Focusrite you might have heard of. Those are going to cost a little bit extra because you're still going to also have to get a microphone as well in addition to getting the interface. But these interfaces will plug into your computer and will allow you to plug an XLR microphone directly into that interface. And that'll allow you to bring in that XLR microphone directly to your computer. And if you are using the Rode Video Micro like I recommended, you're also going to need an adapter in order to plug into the XLR interface and get that audio into your computer. Now, I know that seems like a lot of steps, but what I've noticed is that a lot of live streamers also want to shoot videos. And I'm a big believer in getting the most uses out of the highest quality gear for the least amount of money as possible, least amount of investment as possible. And I do think it's important that you invest in high quality gear, but I want to make sure you're not just buying frivolous gear and need to, say, buy a second microphone in order to get that higher quality for your video. So that's why I like to take some of these extra steps. In the long run, it'll pay off, it'll be cheaper, and it'll be higher quality for you down the road. The next key piece is going to be video. And with this, let's first cover a few camera basics right off the top. The first one is that no matter what kind of camera you're using, whether it's your phone, your webcam on your computer, or another camera, it's important to remember that the lens is your audience. You want to be looking them directly in the eye. You don't want to be looking down and actually looking at you versus talking to your audience. It's important that you make that eye contact. And so just remember that the lens is your audience. Find that lens and talk directly to that. The next big piece is you need to bring that extra energy. It is going to be you talking just to a camera, just to a lens. So you want to have that extra little bit of energy. You don't need to go crazy over the top, being high energy, but you want to push that little bit of energy out there. People are going to be able to feel it when you take it up that extra couple notches. It's going to feel more normal for them. Whereas if you're just kind of a normal self, what you might be in your regular day-to-day when you're talking to somebody else, you'll probably come across as a little bit tired or a little slow in your cadence. So bring up that energy just a little bit. One other piece I wanted to mention is think about what you're wearing. A lot of times I'll see people who might be wearing something that blends them directly into the background, where you might be standing against a white wall. We'll talk about backgrounds later, but you might be standing against a white wall wearing a white shirt. Well, you're going to blend in, and we want you to be able to stand out. Same if you're wearing a black shirt against a black wall. So you want to be sure that you're wearing something that contrasts and kind of stands out and pops from your background, from your surroundings. But also think about avoiding small patterns a lot of times, because those small patterns, depending on the quality of your camera, can actually give a little optical illusion where they're kind of jumping around or moving around. So you will want to avoid that. Another key piece is going to be your framing. You really want to think about, how am I setting up the frame? How do I look in this? You generally want your head towards the top of the frame like it is here. There's very little space. There could be a little more here. It wouldn't be the worst thing, but you want to be kind of most likely center of the frame, head towards the top, so you don't look like you're really small down below. And what you don't want is to be using, say, your laptop camera, your webcam, and have it pointed directly up your nose. You see so many Zoom calls like that. Raise your camera level to about eye level. You should be looking almost directly into your camera for the best view, for the best frame. So if you need to find books, if you need to find extra boxes, if you need to sit in a low chair, if you need to raise your desk up, if you have a standing desk, or get a tripod or some other type of stand, you want to try and bring that camera level up to about eye level. And since we're talking about framing, let's talk a little bit about stabilization. One thing that's going to annoy people is if you are live streaming from your phone and you're constantly moving around or bouncing around. So unless you're doing some sort of tour, in which if you are, then you really need to move intentionally, move slowly, so you're not getting people sick. Maybe think about even getting a gimbal if that's available. Otherwise, at least make sure you're making intentional movements if you're using hand holding your phone. If not, you should use a tripod. If you're looking to use your phone with a tripod, I really recommend the adapter, the Glyph. It's a really great one from Studio Neat that will work with any tripod, and you can get some cheaper tripods. You just need something that's going to hold up decent and hold the weight of your camera or your phone. And speaking of your phone is going to be a really great spot for people to get started live streaming. I actually really recommend it. And when you're using your phone as your main live streaming camera, what you're going to want to do is think about the back cameras here. Those are generally going to be the higher quality cameras. So I recommend actually having those pointed at you if you're able to, and using a second device to actually read comments. This is a great practice in general, especially if your camera is going to be a little bit further away from you, like ours is right now, to have some sort of second device, like an iPad, or have a computer set up where you can actually read comments from there. It's going to add that extra little nice element. So think about if you are in the kitchen cooking, you might have your computer right alongside you, so your camera can even see the computer. That's perfectly fine, and you can go through and read comments that way. And then when you're answering questions, you direct it back at your main live streaming camera. And I have a bunch of videos on how to manage comments with a live stream, so if you're interested in learning more about this topic, be sure to check it out back at my channel. But from your phone, most people are going to graduate to some type of webcam. I really like the Logitech C920 kind of series. The Logitech cameras are great. They're still a little bit harder to find right now, but kind of even step above that is to actually use a DSLR as your webcam. Now, many types of camera makers out there have created some sort of app that you're going to be able to use, or some sort of software that you're going to be able to use directly with your computer and to use your camera as a webcam. Canon has one, Sony has one, I believe a few others have them as well, where you just can take your DSLR camera and plug it in via USB and use that software in order to turn that into a webcam for Zoom or for any other type of live streaming service you might be using. Now, this method is not going to be quite as high quality as an HDMI capture card, but it's going to blow anybody else's webcam out of the water. So I highly recommend, if you have a camera lying around or you're looking to make that investment, look at one of those. Canon, I'm a Canon shooter, so I know their line fairly well. They have some really nice webcam kits where it has an additional power adapter, so you can just plug it in directly to the wall, so you don't have to worry about batteries or anything like that, and it'll connect directly to your computer and just look amazing. Now, if you know you're ready to jump into the high end of live streaming, where you want, say, multiple cameras or multiple different inputs, you want to seamlessly be able to switch to a close-up camera to show different products and show different things, or if you want to be able to switch to your computer really quickly to show your computer screen or anything like that, you're going to want to look at something like the ATEM Mini Pro. That's a really great option. I love this little switcher, and really what this serves, it's kind of a desktop switcher. It allows you to have 4 different inputs, but it also serves as a capture card. A capture card is a piece of hardware that takes that HDMI signal from the camera, the output signal, and turns it into an input signal for your computer, so your computer is able to recognize it and use it in a switching software or use it with, say, Facebook Live Producer. Great camera to use with that is the Canon M50 Mark II. Make sure you get the second version because the first version doesn't have clean HDMI out. Now that brings us to lighting. Lighting makes everything look better. And you're really going to want to consider how you're lit and make sure you're lit and exposed well so that you get the highest quality video possible. Natural light can look amazing. It is really great quality light, and I'm a big fan of using it when possible, but the one issue with it is that it can vary throughout the day. It can vary throughout the 10 minutes of shooting. There could be a cloud that passes in front and your light could drastically change, or you could be stuck with a really harsh light that day because the sun is just shining at the right angle and through everything. So lighting can be a huge topic, and we really don't have time to jump into it too much here on this video, but if you're looking to learn more about lighting, look for 3-point lighting. That's a kind of lighting technique where you can gain a lot of information from that, or check out the YouTube channel by Aputure's YouTube channel. One of my favorite lights. They have a great YouTube channel that teaches more about lighting. But let's talk about how I lit things here. I have the key light right in front of me. This is the one that is providing the main light on me. It's really what is lighting me as the object in the video. I also do have a light up here that is purely for the background. It's just kind of lighting the background up so that you can see the background. And then you're going to notice kind of right behind me on the floor, pointed up towards the camera, is another light. You can kind of see underneath my arms here actually a little bit. If I move, you can see how I'm kind of lit extra under there. That is basically serving as that hair light. And really the reason why I have that there is to separate me from the background even more and kind of give that separation and give that illusion of depth. And you'll see, let's turn off the key light here and you can kind of see just how that was the main thing lighting everything else. We have a couple practicals back there, some LEDs, and then we have that background one, but you can see the big difference that that key light makes. So what lights do I recommend? I think this is an area that you should make it a sizable investment in. The nice thing is that these lights are going to last a long time. If you get quality lights, they'll last a long time, and they'll be good through many camera upgrades, through many different gear upgrades. So spending some time, investing in lights is going to be a good spot to invest your money. One of the first ones, if you just need a small little bit of light, I recommend Aputure's MC lights. Those are actually, if you see that little microphone and the camera back there, those are actually being lit by MC lights, as well as that plant up there. That's being lit by a little MC light right now. You can adjust the brightness on it, and they will come with some diffusion, so it can help be a nice little soft light. You're going to want to place it fairly close to you, and just out of frame, but it can work for kind of that tabletop setup. Now, if you're looking to get to that next level where you have a bigger, higher quality light, that's where you're going to want to look at something like the Aputure 120D. That's what this is here with a big soft box on it. Really great light. Again, it produces a lot of light. You're going to notice if I shut it off, you can see that is the main thing lighting me, but it's a really high quality light. So if you're in the market for lights, I recommend checking out the Aputure lights. They're my personal favorite. I am doing a video kind of reviewing another light option. I'm not quite ready to talk about that yet. That is the one actually that's lighting the background right now. But I'm excited to talk about that as a little bit cheaper version, but still high quality, a similar quality to the Aputure. The next item on how to make your Facebook Lives more professional is elements. And what I mean by that are things like lower thirds or graphics or sound effects even, or music, for example. It's those extra little pieces that are going to make your stream more engaging. It could be any of those. It could be sharing slides. It could be adding in small little video clips or creating some transitions between segments. There is a wide variety of elements that you can use, and really it comes down to your imagination. Anything you can create, you can likely use with your live stream. In order to make that happen, you're going to need to use some type of third-party streaming service. So for Mac users, I really recommend you look at Ecamm Live. That's my favorite one for sure for the Macs. On PC, there is a software called vMix. It's the one that I tend to use when I'm out producing any client shows. We're almost always running a high quality PC and using vMix for those client shows. A third option is StreamYard. Now this is a browser-based service. I'm not super fond on recommending a lot of browser-based services. I think StreamYard does a really great job. The only issue I have with browser-based ones is if you don't have great internet, or even potentially your computer isn't fast enough, you can run into some issues with browser-based things where they just tend to be a little more unreliable. They're generally a little cheaper option, but they still have high quality. They still can produce high quality streams. It just can be a little more inconsistent than what some software-based services will do. And when we're talking elements, a lot of times people will be using slides or sharing their screens. Some key things to think about here is you really want to focus in on the visuals, make them more visuals. If you're creating slides, have some type of image and have no or few words. Yes, I meant to say that in that order. You should have no words or few words if absolutely necessary. Really, those elements are meant to enhance what you're saying, and really those visuals are there purely to enhance the content and shouldn't serve as a replacement for what you're saying. And as you're designing those slides, be sure to think about that slide aesthetic aesthetic and just kind of your general element aesthetic. And I highly recommend sticking to only a couple colors, maybe 3 colors and 3 fonts, or finding some templates out there if you're really don't know how to design or don't have that design eye. Find some templates and things that you can use, buy some graphic packs, things like that that are gonna all work together and present your brand in a professional way. And the last area I really wanna talk about is your background. You should be intentional with the type of background that you have. People are going to be seeing that. People are going to be kind of looking at it and checking it out. It represents your brand because you're putting it in a video with you. So be sure to be intentional about the type of things that you're creating and know what you have in your background. I also recommend to try and add a little depth to your background if you're able to do that. Get away from the wall a little bit, or have something there that goes a little further back so you can add some more of that depth of field. That's going to be kind of a great way to help make your stream a little bit more cinematic. Now, I'm in a pretty small room here, but I've tried to get as far away from that wall and as close to the camera here as I can in order to add that little bit of extra depth there. If you're in a bigger room or a bigger area, the more depth you can add, the more cinematic it tends to look. So that's why you'll see a lot of people, a lot of filmmakers, and a lot of YouTubers will, be at angles in room and have those corners and have those areas to really create that extra little depth in their camera. And also think about how you can add your personality to your background. For me, I read a lot, so there's books. I do some work with cars, so some of that's in there. There's microphones, there's cameras. Try to think about how you can add your personality, your brand into your background. Make it a part of you, kind of an extension of your personality. And even consider, especially if you're able to design your space a little bit more, design more of a studio or a set, think about adding some backdrops if that makes sense for you, or paint the walls if you can. That would be my first recommendation. I would love to paint this wall here, but we are in an apartment, so I'm not able to paint that wall. But what I did do to add a little bit extra personality is this right here is actually a fake brick wall. It's just a backdrop from Amazon that I got that I tack on with thumbtacks, and it adds that little extra personality, little extra intrigue, and makes the shot a little more interesting. And don't think that you need to spend all this money and all this time creating the perfect background or the perfect set for your live stream. Evolve over time. That needs to be one of the key things here. Even mine is constantly changing. A few months ago, I didn't have this set up. It didn't look like this. I was over in the corner and it looked different. And I'm continuing to evolve things. Like I have some acoustic panels that'll be coming in pretty soon that will kind of be along the back wall here. It's slowly stair-stepping and changing things up, adding more personality, making it look a little more professional, making it look a little more you, until you get to that spot where you're super happy with your background. And that should be kind of the key through all of this. You don't necessarily jump in and create the perfect stream right from the start. It's going to be an evolution and an evolving and continuing to get better. It's taking things one step at a time and looking for ways to improve one step at a time. You don't need to go out and spend tens of thousands of dollars on gear to have an amazing live stream set up right away. Get started with that device that you have in your pocket. Just get started live streaming and look for little things that you can do, little practices that you can build. Rewatch this video to find out some of those tips and think about those tips and how you can add them in one stream at a time. Hopefully you're as excited about live streaming as I am and can really see the potential in this channel and what Facebook Live has to offer as a way to connect to your audience and to your potential customers. I just want to encourage you to continue to make those small little steps along the way and continue to evolve and create a more professional stream as you go. And if you want to learn more about live streaming, head on over to nickbolkowski.com/YouTube. That's my YouTube channel. Check it out there. I'm releasing new videos every single week, and I look forward to seeing some of your live streams. Send them my way. I can't wait to hear and see how you're adding some of these tips into your live streams to make them more professional.